and this is News Recap. No fluff, straight to the point. Charlie Kirk, alleged killer, is in custody after his own family turned him in. Chaos at DNC headquarters as a bomb threat triggers a full security sweep. Americans are feeling the burn as prices for groceries, gas, and everyday items keep climbing. Venezuela blasts the U.S. after a deadly strike kills 11 civilians. Officials insist they weren't gang members. Authorities have arrested 22-year-old Tyler Robinson in connection with the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Investigators first recovered a high-powered rifle near the campus, along with bullet casings engraved with political slogans. Authorities then released surveillance footage showing a person on the stairs near the scene. A family member recognized Robinson in that video and alerted law enforcement, which helped authorities track him down.
With a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days.
Additional investigation included reviewing other campus surveillance showing Robinson arriving in a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators also interviewed Robinson's roommate, who shared Discord messages in which Robinson discussed retrieving the rifle, leaving it hidden in the woods wrapped in a towel, engraving bullets, and watching the area.
Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had.
Authorities say Robinson had no prior criminal record. They will now examine his home, electronic devices, and any registered firearms as they continue to investigate a possible motive. Authorities responded to a potential bomb threat at Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. earlier today. Officials say the threat has been deemed not credible. The call came in just after 1 p.m., prompting Capitol Police to sweep the exterior and interior of the building. No explosive or dangerous materials were found. Today's alert comes amid an already heightened threat environment for government agencies.
You know, we've seen a threat environment that has exploded over the last year. We're on track to, tracking over 14,000 threats by the end of the year. So that environment was present before today, and we're prepared to continue to react and keep the members of Congress safe.
Authorities say the threat came in through an email message. They continue to work closely with local law enforcement and provide security for lawmakers, particularly during high-profile events and anniversaries like 9/11. While today's threat was not credible, police remain vigilant. 2/3 of Americans felt the pinch as prices kept rising last month. The numbers are in August. The Consumer Price Index climbed 2.9% from a year ago, slightly above the expected 2.7%. Groceries, gas, and everyday items all cost more. Economists say Trump's tariffs are part of the reason, making shopping tougher for ordinary families. The Federal Reserve could cut interest rates to make loans cheaper, but that won't make the prices at the store any lower. Memphis is next on President Trump's list. He announced on Friday he plans to send the National Guard to the city, calling it deeply troubled, and saying both the mayor and Tennessee's governor are happy with the plan. Trump told Fox News the goal is, quote, to fix that just like we did Washington, where he recently surged federal law enforcement and troops. He also mentioned Chicago and New Orleans as cities he's keeping an eye on, even though crime in those places has mostly gone down in recent years. Locally, officials are split. Republican State Senator Brent Taylor and U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn support sending troops to help with logistics. But Democratic Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris called it an occupation with armored vehicles, semi-automatic weapons, and military personnel in fatigues. Memphis police report crime is actually down, with overall crime at a 25-year low and murders at a 6-year low. The White House hasn't said if city or state leaders formally requested the National Guard or what the deployment timeline might look like. Trump said he would have preferred sending troops to Chicago, but called the city too hostile for federal forces. California lawmakers passed a bill on Thursday to make law enforcement more transparent and mask-free. The law would stop most officers from covering their faces while on duty. The move comes after immigration raids by masked agents left many people, especially in Latino communities, afraid to leave home. Democratic Senator Scott Wiener, who wrote the bill, said residents are scared to go out, scared to go to work, scared to bring their kids to school. The bill still allows medical masks, shields, and other safety gear, but bans ski masks, balaclavas, and similar coverings. If Governor Gavin Newsom signs it, it would go into effect in January. He has until October 12th to decide. Some law enforcement officials opposed the bill, saying it could put officers at risk. Republican Senator Kelly Sayardo said, "Bad guys wear masks because they don't want to get caught. Good guys wear masks because they don't want to get killed." A related bill also passed, requiring officers to show their name or badge number, a rule even some police groups support. In Rochester, New York, immigration agents went to a construction site to detain workers. One man was arrested, while two others climbed onto the roof and refused to come down. Local residents, faith leaders, and city officials quickly arrived, forming a crowd of more than 100 people. Witnesses said ICE did not have warrants. Activist Maria Garcia went onto the roof, brought water for the workers, and offered to mediate between them and federal authorities. The Department of Homeland Security still arrested Jacinto Gualpa, an Ecuadorian immigrant. DHS called the protesters violent, claiming they damaged a government vehicle. Colleagues said the man arrested has lived in the U.S. for 25 years, has a family, and holds a valid work permit. This comes as the Trump administration has sued Rochester over its sanctuary city policies. A U.S. appeals court has just handed the Trump administration a win, at least for now. The court ruled the government can block Medicaid funds to Planned Parenthood while legal battles continue. Medicaid helps millions of low-income and disabled Americans get health care, and nearly half of Planned Parenthood patients rely on it. The ruling comes from a fight over a Trump tax provision that aimed to cut Medicaid payments for abortion providers that received more than $800,000 in 2023, even for clinics that provide contraception, STD testing, and pregnancy care. Planned Parenthood says this ruling could prevent more than 1.1 million patients from using Medicaid at its health centers and put around 200 clinics at risk of closing. While the Trump administration wants to rip away reproductive freedom, we are here to say loud and clear we will not back down, said Dominic Lee, president of Planned Parenthood League of Massachusetts. The organization, the nation's largest provider of sexual and reproductive health care and sex education, vows to keep fighting, and the legal battle is far from over. After targeting reproductive health at home, the administration is now taking aim abroad. Nearly $10 million worth of birth control meant for low-income countries has been deliberately destroyed. It's a pattern critics say is hard to miss. Domestically, access to reproductive health care is being cut, and abroad, millions are losing contraceptives that could protect their health. The administration called these pills, IUDs, and implants abortifacients, even though they do not induce abortion. The destruction cost taxpayers about $167,000. Groups like the Gates Foundation had offered to take the supplies, which could have helped millions and saved money, but the administration refused. Beth Schlachter of MSA Reproductive Choices called the move an outrageous act of cruelty, warning it will cost lives and derail global health progress. Republicans voted to take away Democrats' ability to slow down Trump's nominees. On Thursday, the Senate approved a major rules change, 53-45, that speeds up the confirmation process for top executive branch jobs. Instead of voting one by one, Republicans can now move nominees in big groups, and Democrats can't block the process. The change covers sub-cabinet positions and ambassadors, but not judges. Majority Leader John Thune said Democrats were stalling and called the old process broken and an embarrassment. Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, fired back, saying Republicans just handed Trump a rubber stamp to install anyone he wants, no questions asked. The move clears the way for a block of 48 Trump nominees, including Kimberly Guilfoyle and Callista Gingrich as ambassadors, to be confirmed as soon as next week. Brazil, in the meantime, made history on Thursday. Former President Jair Bolsonaro was sentenced to 27 years and 3 months in prison for plotting a coup after losing the 2022 election. 4 of 5 Supreme Court justices agreed, marking the first time a former Brazilian president has been convicted of trying to overthrow democracy. The ruling has sparked tension between the U.S. and Brazil. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the trial a witch hunt and promised the U.S. would respond accordingly.
Well, I watched that trial. I know him pretty well. Foreign leader. I thought he was a good president of Brazil. And it's very surprising that that could happen. That's very much like they tried to do with me, but they didn't get away with it at all. But I can only say this. I knew him as president of Brazil. He was a good man, and I don't see that happening.
President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva condemned any foreign interference and warned Brazil will respond to U.S. actions, including tariffs and sanctions. Analysts say the U.S.-Brazil relationship could hit its lowest point in decades. Venezuela's Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello is calling out the U.S. over a deadly strike that killed 11 Venezuelans. He says Trump's team got it wrong. These weren't gang members or drug traffickers. Cabello claims local investigations and talks with families shows that the victims were just civilians. The strike hit a boat the U.S. said belonged to the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua and was carrying drugs through. Cabello says otherwise. 11 people died. Earlier this month, the U.S. also doubled the bounty on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to $50 million, accusing him of flooding America with drugs. A man has been arrested in Dallas in connection with the shocking murder of a motel manager. Authorities say 37-year-old Yordanis Cabas Martinez allegedly beheaded 50-year-old Chandra Nagamalaya following a dispute over a broken washing machine. After the attack, he reportedly threw the victim's head into a trash bin. Investigators say Cabas Martinez became angry when Nagamalaya refused to speak to him directly and instead asked another employee to help translate. Surveillance footage shows Cabas Martinez pulling out a machete and striking the manager multiple times, chasing him into the motel office despite attempts by the victim's wife and son to intervene. When police took Cabas Martinez into custody, he was covered in blood and still holding the weapon. Authorities says he's a Cuban national who was in the United States illegally. He had previously received a deportation order, but Cuba refused to take him due to his criminal history. Cabas Martinez is now being held in the Dallas County Jail without bond. Authorities say he has already confessed to the crime. 7 zebra shark eggs are leaving their Tacoma aquarium for the open ocean. The eggs come from Peanut and Butter, a female and male shark at Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium. Zebra sharks are endangered, and these eggs are part of a global effort to bring the species back to the wild. After being checked to make sure they're healthy, the eggs were sent to the Seattle Aquarium. Eventually, they'll be released in Raja Ampat, Indonesia, a marine paradise full of coral reefs. Once hatched, the young sharks will swim freely, tagged so the scientists can study them and help protect coral reefs. The project is part of ReShark, a network of more than 100 aquariums and organizations working to save sharks and restore ocean habitats. And that is all for now. The top stories of the day, no fluff, straight to the point. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. I'm Kat Pokras, and I'll see you next time.